What if the reason your desires haven't shown up is because you've been taught to think instead of feel? Most people try to manifest with effort, with willpower, with endless repetition. But that's not how creation works. Neville Goddard said it clearly. Feeling is the secret, not effort, not struggle, not hoping. Feeling, the kind of feeling that says, it's already done. The kind of inner shift that makes the outer world respond. Here's the truth. You're not waiting for a change. You are the change. Right now, the world around you is reflecting your past emotions, old assumptions, old states. What you see is just a copy of how you felt, on repeat. In this video, I'm going to show you how to break that loop, how to feel in a way that rewrites the script, not by pretending, but by stepping into the only thing that creates results, the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Unlocking creation through feeling. You don't create with effort, you create with state. And your state is nothing more than what you feel to be true. Not what you say you believe, not what you hope will happen, but what you feel is real. Now, Neville said, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and continue feeling it until that which you feel becomes your reality. That's the whole formula. It's simple, but most people never do it. Why? Because they confuse thinking about their desire with feeling from it. There's a world of difference. Thinking of your desire keeps it far away. Feeling from it brings it into the now. Let's make this real. Close your eyes for just a second. Imagine the one thing you want more than anything. Now ask, if I had it right now, how would I feel? Would your body relax? Would your shoulders drop? Would you feel relief, peace, confidence? That's the key. The feeling isn't something you wait for. It's the signal that brings the desire into form. Neville taught that your imagination, when fused with feeling, is the creative power of the universe. He didn't say maybe. He didn't say sometimes. He said always. When you dwell in the emotional state of the wish fulfilled, the outer world must shift. It's law. Feeling is the language of the subconscious. It doesn't respond to logic. It doesn't care about the facts. It responds only to what is deeply and consistently felt. So ask yourself, am I still waiting for life to change so I can feel different? Or am I willing to feel different now so life can change? The illusion of the physical world. Look around. Everything you see, your job, your bank balance, your relationships, is the echo of what you've previously assumed to be true. The world is not showing you reality. It's showing you memory, emotional memory. Neville said, man's chief delusion is his conviction that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness. That means the job didn't cause your stress. The stress was a state you occupied, and the job reflected it. This is hard to accept at first. We're trained to believe that outer conditions shape how we feel, but it's the other way around. Your inner world is the projector. The outer world is just the screen. So when people try to fix their life by changing the outside, switching cities, ending relationships, chasing money, they're trying to edit the screen while leaving the projector untouched. It never works, because the cause is always within. Here's the truth. Your current world is just a photograph. It shows what you felt yesterday, last week, last year, but it's not fixed. It's not final. Change the state, and the photograph begins to fade. Hold a new feeling, and a new scene begins to form. You don't need to force it. You don't need to see how it will happen. You only need to shift the emotional state you live in. That's the real power. Not chasing results, but waking up to the fact that you've been the source all along. So ask yourself honestly, have I been reacting to the world or creating it? And what would change if I stopped looking for proof and became the proof, the seed of manifestation? Desire is not random. It's not wishful thinking, and it's not something you chase. Desire is a blueprint, a signal. It arrives already carrying the image of its fulfillment. Neville said, the desire which comes to us is not something we create. It is something already prepared. It is the echo of our future. When a true desire stirs within you, it's not asking for permission. It's revealing what's already yours on a higher level of being. But in order to experience it here, in this world of form, you must feel it into life. And here's where most people get it wrong. They treat desire as a problem to solve. They analyze it, obsess over it, they doubt it, push it away. Or worse, they tell themselves it's too big, too late, too unrealistic. But what if desire isn't a problem? What if it's a promise? A seed contains everything it needs to become what it's meant to be. An apple seed doesn't wonder how it will become a tree. It just needs to be planted in the right soil, and given what it already knows how to receive. Your subconscious is that soil, and your dominant feeling is the water. When you desire something, deeply, purely, your job isn't to make it happen. Your job is to plant it, to assume the feeling of it already being so, to step into the identity of the one who already has it, and to do this consistently enough that your subconscious accepts it as reality. This is why Neville emphasized the power of the state akin to sleep. It's the golden doorway into the subconscious. When you're in that soft, drowsy state before drifting off at night, your critical mind fades. Your resistance dissolves. You stop arguing with yourself, and in that space, whatever you imagine with feeling drops in undisturbed. This is the moment to rehearse the scene of your wish fulfilled. Not a long, complicated movie, just a short moment, one that implies your desire is already real. It might be the sound of someone congratulating you. It might be the feeling of holding a new key in your hand. It might be a hug, a smile, a sentence. You did it. You don't need to explain how it happened. You only need to feel that it has. And once that feeling has taken root, nourished by repetition, by faith, by inner stillness, it begins to grow, silently, invisibly, powerfully. People often say, but nothing's changed. That's like planting a seed and staring at the ground, expecting fruit by morning. The process is hidden, but it is not inactive. Neville said, everything in the world bears witness to the imagination. What you imagine with feeling will one day become fact. So the real question is not, will it happen? It's, have I planted it? And am I watering it with feeling or drowning it in doubt? Ask yourself this. If my desire is already mine, what would I feel like right now? What would I no longer fear? What would I expect without question? The seed of your manifestation is already within you. You are not trying to make it real. You're allowing what is real to rise into view, avoiding contradiction and doubt. You cannot say one thing and feel another, and expect results. You cannot affirm abundance while quietly entertaining the fear of lack. You cannot imagine love while checking your phone with dread, hoping someone texts back. This is where most people lose their creative power. They contradict the seed they've planted. They imagine the wish fulfilled at night, then wake up in the morning and check for evidence. And when they don't see it, they doubt. When they doubt, they shift states. And when they shift states, they uproot the very thing they planted. Neville made it clear. Your assumption, though false if persisted in, will harden into fact. But most people don't persist. They react. They move in and out of the feeling, depending on what they see. But creation does not begin with what you see. Creation begins with what you feel, consistently regardless of appearances. This is why checking for signs too early is one of the greatest traps. It looks like excitement, but underneath it, it's doubt. A quiet question, is it working yet? And that question breaks the state, because if you really felt it was done, there would be no question at all. No anxiety, no rush, no need to peek behind the curtain. The moment you feel the need to check, you're no longer dwelling in the end. You've slipped back into the old version of you, the one who's still waiting, still hoping, still trying. So what's the solution? You must feel it real and stay there, not because you're forcing yourself to believe, but because you know that the only thing that matters is the state you live in now. The world bends to assumption. It always has. It always will. Neville said, if you do not believe that you are what you want to be, then you remain as you are. And belief in this case is not intellectual. It's emotional. It's the feeling that says, this is already true for me. That feeling doesn't fight. It doesn't push. It simply knows. So if you've been imagining something at night and waking up with doubt in the morning, this is your turning point. Drop the need for proof. Drop the habit of contradiction. Step fully into the state of the one who already has what they want, and stop looking over your shoulder. Ask yourself honestly, where am I planting one thing and watering it with another? Where am I assuming the end and then doubting it into delay? Feeling is the seed, persistence is the root, and contradiction is the weed that kills the whole process. Choose your state and stay there. That's how the wish fulfilled becomes the life you live. The power of faith and assumption. Faith is not hoping. It's not wishing. It's not repeating an affirmation with your fingers crossed. Faith is knowing, without needing evidence. It is the inner conviction that what you have assumed is already true, even if nothing in your external world agrees yet. Neville said, faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. Loyalty, that's the word that matters. Not emotional spikes of belief, Not temporary excitement, but quiet, steady loyalty to the state you've chosen. When you assume the wish fulfilled, you don't just imagine the outcome. You become the person who already has it. You feel from that version of you. You walk differently. You speak differently. You expect things differently. This is not about acting. It's not a performance. It's embodiment. It's a shift in identity. The one who truly believes doesn't ask, "Where is it?" They say, "It's mine," and they live accordingly. This is where most people get stuck. They want the manifestation to come first, so they can finally believe. But that's not how creation works. You must move first, internally. Faith is the movement of consciousness into a new state, and assumption is the choice to stay there, regardless of what your senses tell you. Neville taught that assumption is not passive. It's an active commitment to your desired reality, even in the face of contradiction. Even when nothing outside you seems to change, you hold the feeling. You remain loyal, and the world eventually catches up. Here's the key. The longer you stay in a state, the more natural it becomes. At first it may feel like pretending, but with repetition it becomes your home. And once a state feels like home, the world around you begins to reflect it, without strain, without struggle. This is why faith isn't about forcing belief. It's about relaxing into it, choosing it, returning to it every time the old self tries to pull you back. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't even need to convince yourself. You just need to assume and persist. Ask yourself now, what would change today if I dropped the question, "Will it happen?" and replaced it with, "It's done"? What would shift in your tone, in your body, in the way you move through your day? Faith isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. It simply holds. And assumption, when held, creates fact. Not someday, but exactly when you stop needing it to appear and start living as though it already has. If a part of you knows there's more to reality than what you see, check the pinned comment. There's something waiting there that speaks your language. Mirror of the inner state. The world doesn't happen to you. It happens through you. Everything you see, your circumstances, your relationships, your health, your finances, is not a random set of events. It is a mirror, a faithful reflection of the state you consistently occupy within. Neville Goddard put it in the simplest terms. The world is a mirror, forever reflecting what you are doing within yourself. Not sometimes, not partially, always. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are, what you assume, what you feel, what you believe to be true in your inner conversations. This mirror doesn't respond to your words. It doesn't react to your effort. It reflects your state. So when someone says, "I've been affirming wealth, but I still feel broke," the mirror is reflecting the feeling, not the affirmation. It's not what you say out loud once or twice a day. It's what you feel in the quiet moments when no one's watching, when the room is still. Those moments create. Let's go deeper. You stand in front of a physical mirror. You frown, it frowns. You smile, it smiles. You don't question it. You know the mirror can only return what you present to it. Now apply that same logic to life. If your world keeps reflecting fear, chaos, or limitation, it is not being unfair. It is being obedient. You may be working hard to change your outer world, but if the inner world hasn't shifted, the reflection can't either. This is why effort alone doesn't work. You cannot act your way out of a feeling. You must change the feeling, and let that guide the action. The law is exact. Change the state, and the world must follow. Neville said, "Man can receive nothing unless he first knows he has it." The mirror waits for you to believe it before it reflects it. This isn't arrogance. It's alignment. You may say, but I'm doing everything right. I'm visualizing, I'm journaling, I'm meditating. And that's good. Those are tools. But tools are only effective if they shift your state. If you visualize money but still walk through the day with the emotional state of lack, the mirror will reflect the lack, not the vision. There is no outer fix for an inner contradiction. The world will always match who you are being, not what you're doing. So what does it mean to truly live in the desired state? It means you stop looking outside for confirmation. You stop needing others to agree. You stop checking the mirror every hour for a new reflection. You begin to hold the feeling, not as a temporary performance, but as your natural self. You begin to inhabit the end emotionally and mentally, as if it were already so. That is the mark of someone who understands the law. They no longer seek evidence, they provide it. The world is not your authority, it is your echo, and echoes take time. Sometimes the reflection lags, Sometimes the old state is still playing out in physical form, but if you stay in the new state, if you refuse to return to doubt, the mirror must catch up. It has no choice. Neville said, "To be transformed, the whole basis of your thoughts must change. But your thoughts cannot change unless you have new ideas, for you think from your ideas. You must form a new inner identity, a new way of feeling, a new assumption about who you are and what is possible for you, and then you remain there. You build your life from there, not because the mirror has changed, but because you have." Here's a metaphor. Imagine standing in front of a mirror holding a red object. You want to see blue, so you keep begging the reflection to change. But nothing happens. Only when you put the red object down and pick up something blue does the reflection shift. The mirror does not initiate. It only responds. So if you've been stuck, ask yourself, what am I emotionally holding that keeps showing up in my world? What feelings, beliefs, or assumptions am I projecting onto this mirror, day after day? And more importantly, what would happen if I stopped waiting for the world to reflect change and started reflecting change into the world? This is not about suppressing your emotions or pretending things are perfect. It's about choosing your inner position deliberately. It's about accepting that the real cause is never out there. The cause is within. The mirror is faithful. The reflection is guaranteed. When you claim a new state and live from it, without needing immediate proof, you've mastered the mirror. You no longer react. You create. So hold the image. Feel the result. Remain the version of you who already knows it's done. And the mirror, just like life, will do what it always does. It will follow. Persistence is key. There is a quiet force that moves mountains. Not with noise, not with pressure, but with unwavering consistency. Persistence. Not repetition out of desperation. Not clinging to an outcome in fear, but a calm, steady return to the assumption that it is already done. Neville Goddard emphasized this again and again. A change of feeling is a change of destiny, but that change must be held, felt, lived in, not just touched occasionally, but occupied as your new home, until it solidifies into form. This is where most people misunderstand the creative process. They think manifestation is about bursts of emotion, a single powerful visualization, one moment of clarity followed by waiting. But the law does not respond to flashes. It responds to states, and states are sustained. They are made real through persistence. Consider this. Every reality you currently live in, whether it's one you enjoy or one you're desperate to leave, was created through some form of persistence, maybe unconscious, maybe unwanted, but you lived in that state long enough for it to become real. That same principle applies in reverse. When you assume the state of the wish fulfilled, you must remain there long enough for it to take shape. You cannot plant the seed and dig it up each day asking, "Why hasn't it grown?" You don't water it with doubt. You water it with loyalty. Neville said, "If I persist in the assumption that I am what I want to be, and I do not let go of that assumption, it becomes a fact." The question isn't whether the law works. The question is whether you will remain faithful to the law long enough to see the reflection. There is a moment that comes for everyone walking this path, a moment when the outer world shows no sign of change, when results seem delayed, when circumstances contradict your inner knowing. This is the moment of decision. Do you react to what you see? Do you return to the old story, the familiar discomfort of doubt and fear? Or do you hold your ground? Do you stand in the feeling of the fulfilled desire, not because it's showing up yet, but because you've chosen to believe in the unseen? This is not blind faith. This is intelligent creation. You're not ignoring reality, you're overriding it. And you're doing so because you now understand that reality is not permanent. It is plastic. It bends, reshapes, and rearranges itself to match the dominant inner assumption. Persistence isn't about waiting. It's about living as if the relationship is already yours, as if the opportunity has already arrived, as if the healing is already done. You walk, speak, breathe, and respond from that new identity before the evidence appears. Neville was clear. The ideal you seek and hope to attain will not manifest, will not be realized by you, until you have imagined that you are already that ideal. The moment you begin to imagine yourself as the version of you who already has it, and persist in that self-image, you've begun to move the entire structure of reality. Yes, there may be moments of doubt. Yes, the old state may whisper, tempting you back into familiar patterns, but your task is to return, not to fight the old, but to remain loyal to the new. And loyalty looks like repetition. It looks like reminding yourself gently but firmly, "This is who I am now." You are no longer trying to get something. You are learning to embody the one who already has it. It doesn't mean you never think about your desire. It means that when you do, you think of it from the end, not of the end. You don't imagine it happening in the future. You feel it as real now. Persistence is not a chore. It's a quiet, confident walk in the direction of your chosen state. It's waking up and choosing again, and again, and again, until one day the outside world catches up. And it will, because the law is unfailing. You've seen it in the negative, how fear, repeated often enough, turns into unwanted results. You've experienced the power of negative persistence. Now apply that same focus to what you actually want. What would happen if you stopped entertaining the old identity, even for 5 minutes a day? What would shift if you gave 10 times more attention to your fulfilled desire than to your current circumstances? There's nothing wrong with your vision, only with the habit of letting it go too soon. Hold it, claim it, live it inside until it becomes the only version of you that feels natural. That's what persistence looks like. Not perfection, not obsession, but quiet certainty, held long enough to change everything. Effortless creation through subconscious imprint. There is a moment every single day when you hold the key to creation, not through effort, not through force, but through surrender, through stillness, through feeling. It's the moment just before sleep, that twilight space when your mind becomes quiet and the outer world begins to fade. Neville Goddard called this the state akin to sleep, and he insisted it is the most powerful time to impress the subconscious mind. Why? Because in this state, your conscious resistance dissolves. The analytical, critical voice that questions, doubts, and delays is no longer standing guard, and in its place is stillness, openness, receptivity. You are closer to the subconscious here than at any other point in the day. And the subconscious, as Neville so often repeated, is not only the creative power, it is the womb of reality. He said, "Sleep is the door into heaven. What you take in feeling as you drift into sleep defines your world." Think about that. Not what you say, not what you affirm without feeling, but what you feel as you fall asleep. That is the message the subconscious accepts as real. And once accepted, it must manifest. There is no negotiation, no delay unless you provide it through your own doubt. This is why most people unknowingly create their unwanted realities. They spend their day trying to affirm one thing, but spend the last moments before sleep rehearsing the opposite. They fall asleep worrying about money, replaying arguments, fearing rejection, or regretting the past. And that's what they plant, night after night, watering the very thing they wish would go away. But you can reverse that pattern. Neville taught that the imagination, fused with emotion in this drowsy state, is the creative act. You're not waiting for the universe to deliver. You are impressing the very substance that shapes your life. You are handing your subconscious a blueprint and saying, "This is who I am now." And it listens. Here's how it works. Before sleep, allow your body to relax completely. Release the events of the day. Let the mind slow down. And then, bring to life one short scene. Not long, not complicated. Just a simple, vivid moment that implies your wish is already fulfilled. Neville was very specific about this. The scene must be immediate, natural, and emotionally charged. It must feel like something that would happen after your desire is already yours. If you're manifesting a home, don't imagine the process of buying it. Imagine standing in it, touching the walls, sitting on your favorite chair. If you're manifesting a relationship, don't imagine meeting the person. Imagine lying beside them, hearing them say, "I love waking up next to you." If you're manifesting financial freedom, don't imagine checking your bank account. Imagine signing a document, laughing with a friend, or feeling the calm relief of knowing it's done. It's not the complexity that matters, it's the feeling, the impression left behind. You should feel as if the scene already happened, and you're remembering it. Neville said, "Construct an event which you believe you would encounter following the fulfillment of your desire, an event which implies fulfillment. Feel yourself into the state of the fulfilled desire by concentrating your attention on the feeling that you are now the person you want to be." And here's what makes this technique effortless. You don't need to do anything after this. You don't need to make it happen the next day. You don't even need to talk about it. Why? Because once the subconscious accepts the feeling as real, it goes to work beneath the surface. It begins arranging people, opportunities, decisions, even delays, all to match your new assumption. But the work doesn't look like effort. It looks like flow, like being in the right place at the right time. like nudges, inner guidance, or spontaneous desire to act. That's the beauty of subconscious creation. It does the heavy lifting. You simply hold the end. Now here's something subtle but important. The world around you may not change immediately. In fact, for a short time it might look exactly the same. This is not failure. This is just the old assumptions playing out their final scene. But if you persist in your new feeling, if you return to it night after night, it begins to override the past. Not with drama, but with inevitability. This is how reality reshapes. You may suddenly find yourself responding differently, making decisions you used to hesitate on, attracting people or circumstances that match the version of you you've been embodying in your imagination. Not because you're forcing it, but because you're finally aligned with it. You've claimed the state. You've surrendered to the scene. You've impressed the subconscious, and now the subconscious expresses it. This is what Neville meant when he said, "You are already that which you want to be," and your refusal to believe this is the only reason you do not see it. The belief isn't in the mind. It's in the body. It's in the nervous system. It's in the emotion you carry into sleep. The last message your subconscious receives before it begins its silent work. So each night you get to choose. You can rehearse the lack. You can replay the frustration. Or you can close your eyes and step into the scene that implies it's done. And feel it. Feel it not as a possibility, but as a fact. You may feel peace. You may feel gratitude. You may even cry, not from lack, but from the quiet certainty that what you once longed for is already yours. That is the state akin to sleep. That is where creation happens. So ask yourself, not just tonight, but every night, what am I taking into sleep? A fear? A worry? A version of myself I no longer want? Or am I handing my subconscious something new, something alive, something true? You do not have to fight to change your world. You only need to impress it with the feeling of the wish fulfilled when the door is open. And that door opens every night. Step through it. Feel what is already yours. And let the deeper part of you bring it into form. Live in the end, and let it unfold. You've now seen the full picture. Not a method, but a principle. Not a trick, but a truth. Neville Goddard's teaching isn't about wishful thinking. It's not about waiting for life to surprise you. It's about remembering who you are, the operant power. You don't manifest through struggle. You don't change your life by begging the world to treat you better. You do it by stepping into the feeling that it's already done, and staying there. Creation begins with assumption, takes root through feeling, and unfolds through persistence. Every time you choose to feel the wish fulfilled, without needing proof, without reacting to appearances, you align with the law that governs all manifestation. The only question is, will you apply it? Tonight, as your body begins to relax, will you hand your subconscious another night of worry? Or will you enter that sacred space carrying the feeling of the fulfilled desire? Because if you do, if you allow that new state to become your home, your truth, your identity, the world around you will begin to shift. You won't have to chase results. You won't have to force change. You'll simply receive it as the natural reflection of who you've chosen to be. Neville said, "Assume you are what you want to be. Walk in that assumption, and it will harden into fact. Not through time, not through luck, but through law. Live from the end. Feel it now. Let the world follow. And before you go, check the pinned comment. There's something waiting there. No pressure, no pitch, just curiosity. Check the pinned comment, and let Neville speak directly to you."